Namaste everyone, and just to issue a general notice, I'm not here to set up any fire. But yes, I look to talk about some certain issues which we all know that there is nothing new about it, and I'm not going to say anything that is inspirational. Actually, it gives me great pleasure to meet you all this afternoon, and I'm really grateful to the organizers for giving me this lovely opportunity today. Friends, I feel that the human body, our human body is truly an amazing thing. It has always fascinated me since the day I was born. It takes your food 7 seconds to get from your mouth to your stomach. Human thigh bones are stronger than concrete. Similarly, the average man's private area is 3 times the length of his thumb. A woman's heart beats faster than a man, and I think that's the reason why women are so capable of loving. One human hair can support 3 kilograms of weight on it. Before I begin, I humbly would like to request you to take a deep breath. Let's do it. Let's take a deep breath. And just tell yourselves how much you love yourselves. You know, we never say how much we love ourselves. We always tell other people how much we love them, how much we miss them. Today, let's tell ourselves how much we love ourselves today. Folks, today I'm here to share a few stories and about my fascination with 2 words, youth and infectious. I love the word infectious. Even in the time of viruses and Pokemons, we shouldn't be scared of the word infectious. Laughter is infectious. Passion is contagious. Love is spreadable, and change is communicable. What you can see on the screen is just a small word called infectious, but let me remind you, over the decade, we have been committing ourselves just for that word, infectious. As I was growing up, my grandmother, my beloved grandmother, now departed, she would come play with me and tell me stories about the time she was young, and she could conquer the world. She thought she could conquer the world. She was a silent and a very quiet woman, very intelligent, always passionate about her beliefs, always passionate about her emotions. I remember the twinkle in her eyes when she would come to me, look at me and tell me, "Oh boy, I believe you can become a leader unless you become a little less naughty." I never figured out what that takes to become a little less naughty. It was only in 2006, upon my graduation and upon my return to Nepal, I figured it out. And I slowly understood that it wasn't about being less naughty to take leadership. It was about breaking the barrier and infecting the people around you with positive actions that induce positive change as well as transform the lives of many vulnerable and disadvantaged communities. It's about bringing people together for a common and shared vision, for a common thought, for a common hope, and for a common dream. For the first time in my life, I wanted to become infectious. I wanted to infect people around me. I wanted to infect the world. So let's not be scared of this word infectious. It was then we founded Sano Paila in 2006. In English, it means a little step. So this was our little step to be infected and infect the world around us. Named for the idea that it often just takes a little step to serve one's community and induce change, the organization was founded by a group of passionate, motivated, and dynamic youths who thought taking a step and crossing that barrier would do something for the community where we were born and for the community where we love and for our beloved land. Since then, Believe me, it has been a remarkable decade-long journey of infecting people and empowering better opportunities to reduce poverty and injustice in communities that have been disassociated from this country's life, the life of the nation. Over the decade, we have committed ourselves to redefine the development sector of Nepal by taking a bottom-up approach to include inclusive and sustainable community development. I'm sure there are remarkable stories from remarkable people present here and the speakers that are going to share their stories after me. I'm sure you guys have remarkable stories. But for me, for us, what is infectious about all of us is that we are infected by what we call the dead virus. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present you the simple philosophy that has been the backbone of Sano Paila. We have something, a bug, which we call it a dead virus. This bug is simple but powerful. It stands for D, which is dignity, E for economic empowerment, A for ambition, and T for determination. Believe me, we have it within ourselves. But just like other vaccinations, we just need a booster dose to start it working. By injecting booster doses of the dead virus, we have been able to inspire youth to tackle complicated problems ignored by the government, the private sector, the security sector, with local solutions ensuring equity and sustainability. We run a diverse range of programs. And through this dead virus, we simply do three things. One, we make them aware so that they can feel the change. Not only see the change, but feel the change. At the same time, then we enable them so that they can be changed. And thirdly, we empower them so that they can lead the change that they have gone through. So this is the simple philosophy of Sano Paila. By injecting booster doses of this virus, we are able to do what we are able to do. We run a diverse range of programs, as I said earlier. Each of the programs has local breadth, it has local reach and local ownership, targeted to improve the lives of vulnerable people. Our focus areas span from youth empowerment to drug rehabilitation to crime prevention and reformation, anti-trafficking and child protection, health services and improvement, and access to education, including peace building, livelihood enhancement, and of course, the crisis response. We work on rehabilitation and community empowerment efforts, and through our programs, we are focused primarily on youth, recognizing the high levels of marginalization and victimization of youth, who are also often the perpetrators of crime and violence. Over a decade, we have reached to over thousands of youth at risk and have helped them change their personal behavior, interpersonal behavior, and have made them go through various social changes. So far, we have rehabilitated and transformed the lives of youth affected by drugs and crimes. Over 1,500 young men who have been affected by drugs and crime have been rehabilitated through our efforts. We don't treat these troubled young people involved in drugs and crimes as criminals, but what we do is we seek to reform their behavior and turn them into leaders. That's how we infect them with what I showed you, the dead virus. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say some remarkable stories. As I said, I'm here just to say some stories that you might find inspirational, but these are some simple, yet powerful stories of these young men who have not just transformed themselves, but are transforming the communities they belong to. This is Bhaju Patel, formerly known as Akash Singh. His name was synonymous to terror all over the Terai region of Nepal. Over a dozen cases, including homicide, homicide attempt, bomb explosion, extortion, and intimidation were registered against him at the local police. Akash Singh, he fought for the Maoists for the first 4 years during the insurgency. And then for the splinter underground groups who tricked him into politics, saying This is for the liberation of Madhesh, this is for the liberation of the people. It became a symbol of terror and threat for the general public, businessmen, security personnel. During his game of cat and mouse with the police, he was shot 3 times and sustained bullet injuries. In 2007, he got convicted of various crimes and he was sent to prison. He was released last year and then has been a main foundation of our programs in the community. Who could have imagined a person who could turn into a leading social activist, an insurgent who has turned into a peacemaker? Let me show you another remarkable story here. This is Ajitam Pandey. When Ajitam first started using drugs, he used to think that he was on the forefront of an adventurous, risky way of life that most dull, boring boys of his age didn't have. He spent his youthful years in pursuit of drugs. At the age of 19, he had his first run-in with crime. Now this 26-year-old Ajitam Pandey leads our rehabilitation and crime prevention program in Birgunj and helps other affected youth to be empowered and change not only themselves, but they mobilize themselves to change others as well. Let me remind you again that these were the volunteers when the 2015 earthquake struck our beloved country. We had mobilized around 300 to 400 of these volunteers who had been rehabilitated from the background of crime and drugs. And they were the ones who went into 11 districts of the affected area and provided support to 15,000 families through our first response. Similarly, in Gorkha, we have took over the community and we are working with the community with these youths who are not only building shelters, but also enhancing livelihood opportunities in a very remote location in Gorkha. Let me again tell you, many of these young men have been treated as criminals and has been labeled as pariahs of our societies. Sometimes by our own society and sometimes by their own friends and families. In a way, they have been dehumanized because they had problems with drugs and committed petty crimes. To our rehabilitation centers, known as School of Recovery and Reformation, we not only rehabilitate youths like Bhaju and Ajitam, but also help them envision themselves as positive contributors to their own community. Now let me go a little bit to our other sectors that we are approaching and that we are addressing. This is Bartoli. We rescued her in 2013, and since then she has been under rehabilitation. The name Bartoli comes from slang word because she was found near the road in Chabel in Kathmandu. She was naked and she was actually dumped in a garbage. Our volunteers saw it and responded. We had a collaboration with one of the donors at that point, but those donors' guidelines didn't allow us to take kids like Bartoli into our center, so we stopped the partnership. One of the philosophies that we have maintained is that the local needs of the community should be in priority of all our partners and donors who are supporting us. Similarly, that's the photo when she was picked up from the garbage camp in Chabel in Kathmandu in 2013, and that's Bartoli. She's now learning basic life skills in our center. And now she's one of the entertainers among the other kids. Let me take you to another person here. His name is Sahas. We have changed the name. He's a trafficking survivor. And Sahas doesn't have any parents. He was rescued from a children's home in Kathmandu, where children homes like those were using kids like Sahas to lure foreign donors, foreign donations, and a lot of money. It is children like Bartoli and Sahas that is our priority. Sahas now says, I'm so happy to now have a good education. I also like having clean, healthy food to eat because I didn't have this before. He got 89% in his recent exams, and he loves to play football, and one of his aims is to serve the nation in the coming future. Friends, our unique foster care model for the kids are usually for addicts and orphan kids who do not have a parents. But most of the time when we rescue kids, we find out that they have parents back home. So what we do is we have a great integration program in the far west of the country, Humla, Kalikot, Jumla, Mugu, and other places like Bardia in the Tarai. We rescue these children, we go back to their parents, we work with them, we make them accept their parents because we believe that every child in this country has the right to grow up with their parents. Education and food should not be a problem to these children. Because of these two factors, they shouldn't be separated from their parents. Last but not the least, let me share you one unique initiative called Himalayan Jewelry, which is based in Kathmandu. This is a special initiative of Sano Paila that specializes in handcraft jewelry. It's a social venture setup that we are progressing to do. Each piece crafted here that you see is crafted by skilled jewelers who are deaf and mute or survivors of trafficking. In 2012, we used to rescue children from circuses in India. During that period, we rescued hundreds of girls who were sold by their own families into circuses of India. In those circuses, these kids were being treated the same as they were being treated as the animals, in the sense that they were being fed the same food that the animals were being fed. They were being performing and doing training 24 hours, 7 days a week. And during the night time, when the girls would get adolescent, they would be sent to various powerful people, politicians, bureaucrats, to spend the night away. This was a story of the people who are now behind the Himalayan Jewelry. We believe that it's providing identity to people who have been victims of social evils, and the only way to make them empowered is the economic empowerment. The way they can take financial decisions on their own. I think that's real empowerment. Sano Paila believes that's real empowerment. So let me share you a small video about our Himalayan Jewelry initiative. And again, let me tell you, these are the people who were sold in the circuses in India a few years back. But now they have redefined themselves. They have redefined their hope, and they are building their new dreams. To build a dream, not for their own selves, but also for the country. So the idea is that a sorry past shouldn't dictate the future of these survivors. So based on that idea, we are providing them with economic opportunities so that they can take their own decisions in the coming future. We feel that development should itself be a movement by the people, for the people, and to the people. I think that's what development needs to be redefined as. However, we also believe that the protection of human rights, access to jobs and education, and development of youth leadership will be a key to bringing social, economic, and political change in this country. However, for Nepal, it is a small country, and it is one of those countries in Asia where most people survive with an income of less than $1 a day. In such a country, with poverty and illiteracy screaming from every rooftop, we, youths like us, like you, we have to dare to come out of our closets and take charge. Let's get infected, and let's get infected with that dead virus that I showed you earlier. We have the ability and the privilege to affect more change today than what our fathers and forefathers had there in their lifetimes. So ask yourselves what you want to do with it, what you want to do with that privilege, how you want to build your community, how you want to build your world, and how you want to build yourself. Failures and frustrations will be there, but it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and still stand up and keep on going. It's not about the numbers of breaths you take. It's about the moments that takes your breaths away. Let me say you one final old English proverb. Actually, it's a Sanskrit proverb that I'm translating in English. It says, when we are born, we cry and the world celebrates. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the whole world cries and you rejoice. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, stay naughty, stay mischievous, and go out and infect the world. Thank you again.